Welcome, Arianna.
Hello, I'm so excited to be on here.
Well, I'm excited to chat with you. You are amazing. So where are you? What time? You're in the east coast of US at 5 o'clock at night, I believe. So how has your day been today?
Oh, the day has been great. We've been doing a lot of stuff on set today, actually, for a really cool curriculum that is called Boost Kids. And my daddy is doing a lot of filming for like little inserts and scenarios. Now, Boost Kids is something that is going to be extremely exciting. It's going to be a curriculum that helps kids with extremely important stuff that they should be learning in school, like, how to have, hold a conversation, to smile, to greet people, polite, to be polite, and just all kinds of things, really. And grit and gratitude and goals, so many things. And so today is one of the 3 days that we've been on set doing inserts, kind of like examples of these and how to use them, how not to. And so yeah, today we were actually doing it here, filming here at our house, and yeah, we're doing that all day, so pretty eventful.
I love that so much. I reckon that's all the stuff we don't learn at school, and that's all the stuff that we should learn at school. And
Exactly.
oh man, we got so many kids that can't function properly because they just don't know how to work with people. It's yeah, I think that we have to learn this is my little pet peeve. We have to learn maths, we have to learn English, we have to learn a few other things, but oh, for God's sake, teach people how to get on with each other. Teach.
Yes.
Wow. Well, I think that's fantastic. So you've already had a hard day. You've already been chatting all day. So now I'm going to make you chat some more. So, so on top of what you're doing now, you're filming snippets for Boost Kids. I can't wait to see that. That sounds absolutely fantastic. You're also an author, mind you, a best-selling author. You're a speaker, an actress, a voiceover, a model, a girlpreneur. You have your own business teaching other kids to start projects. Unbelievable. You're the junior marketing director of your family business called Splash Design Works. Arianna, how old are you?
I'm 16.
Unbelievable. That is amazing. That is absolutely amazing. Like, I know people who are my age, late 50s, who haven't done half of that, but haven't even had the inclination to do half of that. By the way, if you get to my age, you haven't got the energy to do all that. I've got to tell you, but
Yeah.
how did
Well,
you?
that's not necessarily. I gotta say, my daddy is right around that age, and he's just been getting into filmmaking and directing. So and there are so many people I have heard about. One of the things that's really cool, actually, is I love learning languages. So I'm fluent, bilingual, certified bilingual in English and Spanish, and then I'm learning Scottish Gaelic and French and ASL right now, and so. But I learned that there was this one guy, he started learning languages right around 84 or so, and he still got it in his brain. It's never too early or too late.
No, I agree with you 100%. I agree with you. And never to, I love, I met a guy. No, I didn't meet a guy. That's a big fat lie. I read about a guy who started writing a book at 80. He always wanted to be an author, and at 80 he started writing a book. So and I really believe that. Like, I hear a lot of people say, because I do get off the bench, I help people start projects, and a lot of people say, I'm too old, I'm just too old. And I'm like, no, you're not. But on the other end of that is, I'm just too young. And
Yes.
or my kid wants to do something and they're just a kid, and I wrote the book Magnificent Kids. I'm not sure if you know that. And did you know that?
I haven't heard of Magnificent Kids before.
Oh, well, where have you been, Arianna? So, I wrote the book. That was in 2014, and that was about 23 kids around the world, who were doing world-changing projects, like amazing projects. Creating pancreatic test strips and having their own TV show and confronting the Vietnamese government and all sorts of things. It was absolutely bloody
Wow.
amazing. Yeah, and so I've got this big thing that I reckon young people are the solution to the world. And you're about to hold up a book, and don't you spoil it for me. And I found you through Christy Maggio, who wrote the book just now.
Yes, that's why I went out of frame.
Game a young
Just got the book in today.
Oh, did you? Yeah, the book is called Young
Yeah.
Change Makers, and that's how I found Arianna. And so, if you're looking at the video, you'll see the book Young Change. I think there's 12 of you in that book. Is there 12 change makers or 16?
I think it's 12. Let's see,
12.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yep, 12.
12, yeah. And so this book by Christy is along the same lines as Magnificent Kids, just trying to show the world that young people can do incredible things if we give the opportunity. Show us your page. Come on. I thought you were flicking through to show us your page.
I was trying to find it. Oh, it's here. It's up at the top, I think. Consistent. Inspire is mine. Let's see. And yes, it's amazing. It's amazing to see what people are how many people are achieving things at a young age.
I love it.
This is Inspire. It's supposed to actually be much more colorful, but it turned out everything here turned out black and white for some reason. There's this, and then my article is here. Starting here.
Fantastic. Well, I'm gonna send you a copy of Magnificent Kids as well, so you've got that as well. But I absolutely love that you're so young and that you're changing the world, and it is changing the world because you're doing great things, but two, you're teaching other kids that they can make a bloody difference, and they're not too young. And I absolutely love that, and I can't wait to get my hands on a copy of the Young Change Makers as well, because and I can't wait to interview Christy. I'm chatting with her in a couple of days, so I cannot wait for that.
Awesome.
So I know. How did you get all this experience just in a few years? Like did you just wake up one day and go, you know what, I think I'm going to be a girlpreneur. I think I'll do that. Or what happened?
Well, everything kind of started at different ages and because of different things and different factors. And when I was younger, this is actually a story that I told just a few days ago for an inspirational speech, because I spoke at a Rotary Club for kids about a week or two ago. But one of the things I mentioned is that basically when I was probably about 4 or so years old, I remember I told my parents this one time, I felt like saying it. I was like, I want to be an author when I grow up. And, in my little voice, I want to be an author when I grow up. And, and I told my parents that. And instead of saying, instead of being supportive, instead of just going like, okay, that's nice, we'll figure that out in a couple of years. No, they were like, why when you grow up? Why wait? Why not start right now? And I mean, at 4 years old, my mind was just completely blown. And so, I thought, okay, this is so incredible, that I can actually start this now. So that just kind of propelled me to do all kinds of things. It helped me to start getting into acting, voiceover acting. When my daddy was getting into it, I was like, oh, this is so cool. I want to do this too. And then writing as well. And I published my first book around 10, which is The Princess Chronicles. And then I published False Awakening, which is my sci-fi best-selling book, Amazon best-selling book, about 12. And then Saber Black, like about a year or two later at like 13 or 14. So, just all the different stuff that I do is inspired by different stuff, but really all revolving around the thing that actually my one word is about right here, and that is inspire. And that's like my ultimate goal, really, in general, is just to inspire other people. So when I'm doing all these things, I'm also doing it to do exactly what you said, and to tell people, to show people that they're never too young to achieve their dreams and do what they want to do right now.
I absolutely love. I could just let you take over the whole interview, because I was going to ask you, what are your parents like, but you've really nailed that. Like they're just saying to you, you're not too young, just start now, go for it. You can do and be whatever you like. And and you're right, a lot of parents do say, oh, that's nice, but wow, they shouldn't. It should be like, okay, let's go, let's get this thing rocking.
Right, exactly.
Wow. Oh God, I love it. What about the kids at school? What do they think about all your achievements?
Well, I'm actually homeschooled, and
Ah,
I'm sure that yeah, I'm sure that helped a lot. That does help a lot. It's
yeah,
amazing. It's so wonderful, and it's actually wonderful to be flexible as well for any speaking events or acting gigs or things that I need to do. But to rephrase that question to be, I guess, what peers would think about me, I think that a lot of times, I mean, most of them seem to be, thankfully and gratefully, pretty inspired, and they seem to want to get their stuff done. I have encountered one or two people that didn't like what I was doing, probably for the main purpose that they were jealous because they're not doing anything, but that's really because they didn't put in the work.
yeah.
They didn't actually put in the work to do anything. They're just like, oh man, why am I not achieving stuff at a young age? And it's like, well, there's more to it. You gotta stick with it. You gotta be determined. But yeah, I think that a lot of the people that I know that are around my age are very supportive as well, which is awesome. And they're also people that are moving and shaking, as you would say, and doing great stuff. And it's important to hang around the people that do what you want to do, and important to have the influence of people that are as like-minded and determined. I mean, of course it's great to have different people who think differently than you and want to achieve different stuff, but at least all have that, I want to do this, I want to achieve, and I don't want to just procrastinate and wait. It's good to hang around the people that will inspire you back and motivate you and you don't feel like it, and vice versa. So
Absolutely. And also the fact that we have a negative bias in our head, we have this negative narrative. We all have it.
yes.
The one that says, I'm not good enough, oh, what if I fail, blah, blah, blah. And we all have this voice that goes on. And I think that if we, exactly what you're saying, if we surround ourselves by people that are constantly showing us differently, that they're showing us that that's not true. You can do it. You are good enough and everything else. It shuts that voice down a little bit. It just keeps it quiet. But the opposite, if we hang around with people that are constantly criticizing and saying, yeah, but that'll never
They're
happen.
echoing that voice.
Yeah, well, it feeds it, and then you start going, it's true. I can't do anything. I love the fact that you're homeschooled. I've got to tell you that. I love homeschooling, and I've always had this little dream. I'm never going to do it. And I'm never going to do it. Not because I'll never find the time, and I'm doing so many other things. But this little dream to have a homeschooling pod and have a, like, they get together once a week and they all go out and do amazing things. And, like they do, so they still work in a team, but they still do volunteering and they still do education, but anyway, I'll never get there, but it's a good thing, and I hope someone else picks it up. I hope someone's listening and says, oh, I might run with
Never
that.
say never. You never know what'll happen.
You never know. Actually, you never know. And that's true. Everything in my life it's been a zigzag, and I don't know what's coming next. And I just can't imagine I've got enough years left in me to do everything I want to do. But anyway, let's, you never know. Now, you were saying before about your peers, and you hang around with people that are wanting to do things and trying to do things. And now you've got your business, or you're a girlpreneur, which I just think is bloody fantastic. Big Ideas Kid Coaching. So tell us more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So that stems from the desire to inspire. That rhymed. Wow, I'm a poet and I didn't know it. But the desire to inspire, and that really stems from that goal that I had to be able to just reach as many people. Teens and youth are some of the people these days that need the most amount of inspiration, that need the most amount of that contrasting the voice in their head, because it's so loud during the teenage years, that voice that's saying you can't do it. And there are so many teens that have these horrible role models of celebrities and people that they look up to that are super famous, but they're not really good people to look up to. And so what I want to do, is through Big Ideas Kid Coaching, that's inspiring people on a professional level. That's basically my speaking, the books that I'm selling, and then particularly coaching as well for coaching kids, and helping them, because I feel like kids follow other kids. They see other people that are their age doing stuff, and it inspires them. And that's what I want to do, because there are so many young people these days that are posing themselves as role models, and they're not. So yeah, that's a big part of my goal there. But Big Ideas Kid Coaching, I've always been an entrepreneur. My parents, always just been entrepreneurial minded. My parents are also entrepreneurs, and my daddy, who's an awesome graphic designer, he was working at a magazine newspaper publication, and they ended up firing the entire graphics department because a new thing was coming over and taking over. And so, out of work, like, what do I do? What do we do? Let's just, take a leap of faith and do it. And so my parents started a graphic design business, and called it Splash Design Works, and it's still going today. And I'm their junior marketing director. So ever since around 6.5 years old, I would be going with them to chamber mixers and events, and giving people our business card and saying, hey, we're Splash Design Works, and we do blah blah blah, and so it was. I've always been, doing that. So yeah.
I love that. I love that so much. And I love that they took a leap of faith too. That's something a lot of people just don't do, which I understand, because if you're paying off a mortgage, and you've got responsibilities, it's a bit tough to just go and leap. But if you've lost your job and there's nothing else there, just go for it. And it's a great time now to start a business or anything like that, because there's so many jobs going. There's so many jobs available at the moment. So what I'm saying is, if it doesn't work, there's always a job. There's always a job to come back to and recalibrate, get yourself set up again, and have another crack at it. Now, before you said your 3 books, so the Princess Chronicles, False Awakening, and Saber Black. Now, I know you said you were 10 and 12 and just now, and a lot of people won't write 1 book in their whole life. You've written 3, but not only have you written 3, they're all been bestsellers, every single one of them.
Just wanted to mention False Awakening is a bestseller.
Only one, but all right. So I thought you were a triple best-selling author, but you must be a triple author with a best-selling. Anyway, so 3 books. Yeah. So, tell us about. You're obviously an avid reader. You obviously read. Yeah.
Yes, but here's the funny thing: I wasn't always.
No, only since you've been writing.
So let me explain. When I was younger, I loved writing with an absolute passion, but I didn't like reading. And for literally years, I would write all kinds of stuff. I'd write stories, I'd write fan fiction based off of games I loved, but I just didn't like reading. I read, for school, but I was like, this isn't really the coolest thing there is. I'm not really a fan of it. And it's so funny, because I thought forever that I was one of those weird people who liked writing but didn't like reading. And then finally, about 13 or so, this one time we went to Barnes and Noble, and there was a copy of the Return of Sherlock Holmes by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, the way original, classic Sherlock Holmes books. And I remember thinking, oh yeah, I like the movies, the adaptations and stuff. Maybe this will be kind of cool. I know it's kind of old, but oh well. And I picked it up and I started reading from the first sentence, which was The Empty House, and it was the year of 1883 in which the Honorable Ronald Adair faced his death, whatever, that sort of thing, and I was like, I'm glued. This hooked me. I was so obsessed, and this is amazing, and shortly after, I read all kinds of other things. I read Jules Verne, Around the World in 80 Days, and 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, C.S. Lewis, Chronicles of Narnia, Tolkien and Lord of the Rings, and then Sherlock Holmes. I actually finished that book, which I ended up realizing was like the 7th in a series of 9 books, and went all the way back to the beginning and read the whole thing. And then I actually started reading it in Spanish as well. But that was really fun. And then I started just reading all kinds of other classics. And Great Expectations is now one of my favorites by Charles Dickens. And then The Count of Monte Cristo is one of my new favorites by Alexandre Dumas. And I realized, okay, the reason why I didn't like reading was because I hadn't yet found the kinds of books I liked. They were classics and, the old fashioned stuff. So yes, I do like to read, but I always like to tell people that that's not what started my love for writing. It was really more like I started writing and then I was like, wait, there are more books out there to read than that which I've already read. So yeah.
Oh, I love it. So your first book at 10, The Princess Chronicles, what's that about and what inspired that?
Well, I remember when I was younger that one of the things that was really, really important to me was that kids, I always noticed kids when they weren't polite. And it's almost like the Boost Kids thing. I noticed I'm just like, okay. And my parents raised me and trained me to, be polite. And I, of course, now see the amazing beauty and value of that.
Yeah.
And I did as well back then. And when I was around, 6.5, I remember thinking to myself, oh my goodness, like I need to write a book that is fun and for kids that also teaches them those important qualities like kindness and friendship and trust and teamwork and forgiveness and honesty and all those things. And so I remember, I wrote The Princess Chronicles because I wanted to do that and instill those qualities in kids, yet also providing something very fun and entertaining. So it's about these princesses who aren't perfect, because princesses are always seen as like, oh, they're perfect. And so I wanted to give them kind of like these princesses that are more down to earth and relatable. In fact, the very subtitle of The Princess Chronicles is called Not Your Average Princesses. And they're learning stuff just like we are, so that's what inspired that first one.
Oh, I love it. I love everything. I'm like, I love it. I love it. I'm so excited about it. And I you as you're talking there, when I was 6, I realized that, you needed good manners and you needed to be polite. And then I thought, I need to write a book. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're most 6-year-olds aren't thinking, I need to write a book to help others to be have better manners and be kind and be polite. Do you think you're an old soul? Do you think
I am 100% an old soul. My parents tell that to people all the time, and absolutely. The music I listen to is music that came from probably the 1800s and such. I listen to books written. I mean, I read books written in the 1800s. I around 6, and it was actually right around the age as well that my parents always loved to tell people about because I was very good at spelling, so I was able to spell like all kinds of crazy stuff, and my parents kept trying to find higher and higher and higher spelling lists and vocabulary, and even I think it was around that age when they had me watch this movie. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's called Aquila and the Bee.
Yeah.
And yep. And my parents like to tell people that I'm like a like a white Aquila. That basically that I this one time I was in the car. My daddy was like looking back and he's like, spell prestidigitation. And just kind of rattling it off. And and so my parents always like to tell that story. But yes, no, I definitely believe that that's very probable.
I think it is too. They say that if you're really attached to a period of history, in a fond way, that you probably existed in that time, if you believe in reincarnation.
Yes,
I do.
I've heard that.
Is there any period of time in history that you really love, that you think, I just see myself there?
Yes, 100%. Yeah, I laugh because I talk about this literally all the time to people. It's so funny. 100%. I'm in love with the 1800s, the 19th century, that is, and all things related to it. There is something about that century that, especially in Europe, in London, it's the Victorian era. I mean, the early 1800s were the Georgian eras and several other eras, and then around, I believe, 1840 or 31, something like that, is when the Victorian era started, when Queen Victoria started ruling, and up until 1901. And that Victorian era is just amazing to me. I find it so interesting. I feel like yes, I was 100% born in the wrong time. I should have been born in the 1800s. But I think that it just the literature was incredible. The ideas people had, they were so original. They weren't carbon copies like a lot of them are today. Now, I will admit there are some pretty great ideas of movies and books these days, but a lot of them are carbon copies of old things that were original at the time. And so, but in the 1800s, I mean, there were so many great, fun, amazing ideas, and some wonderful, talented authors like Charles Dickens and Jules Verne and Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. And and it's funny, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle didn't even like his own work, or he liked his work, but he didn't like Sherlock Holmes. He hated writing Sherlock Holmes because people wanted more and more and more, and he's just like, oh my word. But yeah,
Wow.
so I love yeah, it's pretty interesting. But I love that era, but I love several decades before or after as well. And so I love the early 1800s. That's kind of where the book that I'm reading right now is set. So yes, absolutely.
Well,
19th century, 100%.
I don't think you were born in the wrong time. I think you actually had a life back there, and it was a bloody good one. That's what I think. Wow. So
I agree.
so tell us about the False Awakening, because that's a sci-fi book. Like, how do you shift from the 1800s into sci-fi and just embrace that completely? Where'd that come from?
Yeah, well, so actually, False Awakening and Saber Black were made actually shortly before I got into the Victorian era, really. So mostly what I wrote was stuff that I just was kind of into at the time. But I still do love sci-fi. I'm still an avid lover of it, and less in books, unless it's classic. But I really love sci-fi movies, and we're huge Star Wars fans over here, and fans of all kinds of sci-fi things. So we love it. And one of the things about False Awakening, one of the things that inspired me actually was the subject of lucid dreaming. I was doing a lot of research on it because I thought it was so fascinating. And I'm just one of those people, I get really obsessive about a certain little thing.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I got to do research, just hours and hours of research, and I just because I love it. And not particularly because that's like my favorite thing in the world, but just because I'm suddenly obsessed with it. And so lucid dreaming was one of those things that I thought it was so fascinating, how you can actually like make your own dreams. You can get into this mode to where you can actually start to shift things and make it the way you want it to be. And so on the site that where I was learning about lucid dreaming, they also were talking about what's called a false awakening. And what a false awakening is a real scientific term. It basically means that you think you're waking up doing your normal morning routine, but it's actually a dream. So
Yeah.
it's like you're waking up, but it's actually you dreaming about waking up. And so that's what a false awakening is. And I told my parents about it. They're like, you should make a book about this. And I was like, that's a wonderful idea. And so right after that, the characters kind of just started popping in my head. I got the idea for the main character, Chris Coleman. I got the main idea for Taryn Johnson, the other main character. And then I just got to work on writing that. And that was just kind of, we agreed that that's going to be the next book. So it was kind of inspired by like The Matrix and Inception, both of those kind of coming together. And yeah, so that's what inspired that mostly.
Wow. And I've had that false awakening many times. And I've actually said to my partner, I felt like I was awake. Like, I honestly thought I was up,
Yes.
Making coffee and, getting ready for the day. But it seemed really weird. Everybody around me was being really weird. And it was so clearly. and I didn't know that you could actually change your dreams. Like, that's you've got me. I'm the same as you. I dig into topics. I get like, wow, I can't get enough of this. I need to find out more and more and more. And it completely distracts me from my work, but I can't stop. And then I tell my partner, oh, did you know? And all I get is, yeah, I don't really care. And I'm like, but I care.
That's so funny. Oh my goodness.
I just get to look like, oh, geez. Okay, now another hole. Now tell us about Black Saber. What's that one about?
Definitely. And also there is something else I wrote after Saber Black that I would love to talk about because it wasn't mentioned.
Saber Black. Sorry, I said it wrong. Saber Black. Sorry.
Oh, it's all good. It's all good. I've gotten worse. You're good. But it's but anyway, yeah. So Saber Black. Well, I have always, speaking of obsessions, one of the things I've always loved have been the idea of winged people. The idea of people just going around normally and having wings, like, whoa, that's so cool. If I ever had one of those, wishes that could be granted that is impossible in real life, it would be to fly, and to have wings. And so I've always loved that idea. And it's really funny because I was inspired by really two things, and that was the idea of winged people and getting a new writing app. So it's really funny because I like to a lot of people, they're like either diehard fans of Microsoft Word or diehard fans of Google Docs, and there is no in between.
Yeah.
And I am one of those very few people who actually likes all of them, and I like to do different stories on different ones.
Yeah.
And so I have tons of Google Docs ones, I have tons of Microsoft Word ones, and if I were to switch one to the other, it would be really painful to me, because I'm like, no, this belongs on this one. So because I had gotten a new writing app, it was TextEdit, and I was like, oh, I want to write something on this. And so I started writing Saber Black. Originally, it was going to be called Sable Black because sable meant like a black or dark. But then I thought, ooh, saber, like the sword. That would be cool. And so I did Saber instead, and it sounds better anyway. But I started writing about these different characters that had wings. And then they were originally, the plot was so different. It was talking about like coming to Earth and all kinds of really weird stuff, and that's not what it's about now. But that kind of helped shape what it is now, and what it is a sort of a story about these two characters. I'm sorry, about this character who is born of the same race as the bad guys, but fights for the good guys. And so it's like, is she good? Is she bad? Is she both? That sort of thing.
Wow.
And so, and I believe that this book is so needed for a lot of teenagers. This is like a more teen, young adult fantasy coming of age story. And it's so needed because we often wonder that, what should I be fighting for? What should I be fighting for inside? And so I think that Saber's journey is one that I think can be relatable to so many of us, especially so many teenagers.
Wow, you're a brilliant person. Oh, you are brilliant. Your brain is wow. Now, did you say there's another book? Did you say that there's another book coming?
Not another book, but it's a short story, and it's actually one that is, I'm mentioning it because it actually is published, and so it's a short story of about 10,000 words that got published in an anthology, and I'm really excited about it because it's actually a Sherlockian pastiche. So you know how I told you about Sherlock Holmes?
Yeah.
Well, not kind of like a little while after I started really getting into it, I realized, oh my goodness, there are people like myself that are also into Sherlock Holmes. A lot of them are being older people and adults. There are no other teenagers, but it was really interesting to be able to be a part of these communities and societies. They're called Sherlockian societies, that are people that love the Holmes books and all things old fashioned. And so then I started really getting into that, and then I realized that there were people who wrote pastiches, and pastiches are simply when you write a story based off of the style of the original author. And so there were tons of people who wrote pastiches based off Sherlock Holmes, and I thought, oh my goodness, this is me. I gotta do this. And so there was this thing hosted by the amazing publishing company MX Publishing that is an anthology, and it's bi-annually. It's 2 times a year, publishes in I believe like May and December. Those are the times that I think that it publishes. And so this one time there was a new competition for sending in a pastiche and seeing if it would get submitted, and I saw it, and I remember telling my parents, I was like, huh, yeah, so there's this going on, and and this was after kind of like a long week in December of being on set and doing all kinds of stuff. So it was getting closer to the deadline, which was the 31st of December, and it was already like the 10th. And so I was like, huh, this is pretty cool. And my parents are like, you should do it. And I'm like, you think that I can write that within like 10 or so days? And they're like, yeah, you got this. So I was like, all right, yeah, I think I can. I believe you, and I'm just going to go for it. And so I ended up writing the 4 door handles. I ended up writing a short story called The 4 Door Handles, which was about a really interesting mystery where there's oh goodness, I've almost forgotten what it's about now, but it's about door handles. And it's very Victorian and very fun. But I ended up submitting that in with anxious, like cross fingers, to the people with the anthology, and they actually ended up accepting it. And not only accepting it, but my daddy, who is a fantastic artist, they actually, I asked him, I said, can I commission you to do a Sydney Paget style illustration, just like how they used to back then? So
Yeah.
he actually did it, and he said, I said, I'm going to submit it as well. So both the illustration and the story were accepted. And yeah, they're a part of the, actually, wait a minute, it's right behind me. Here it is, in the NX
Wow.
book of neutral film stories. It's a
Wow.
very thick book.
You very have you read the whole book?
No, I haven't read the whole book. I want to still, but I got so much to read. But oh, one of the things right here, it says compiled for the restoration of the benefit of the restoration of Undershaw. It's really cool actually, but this is the let's see, part XXXII, that 30-second volume of these
Wow.
books. And yeah, they're amazing. And they actually for many, many years, using these volumes, they actually use the money that is given to them by buying these books to actually help the Undershaw School, which is in I believe in Edinburgh and in Scotland, and it's in one of the places that Sir Arthur Conan Doyle used to go to for his school, and now is actually a school for children with special needs. So it's super, super
Oh,
cool. They
fabulous.
actually raised over $90,000 to restore the school and keep it
Wow.
going. So it's pretty awesome.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. Now you just said in Edinburgh, you do voiceovers and acting, right? Now I've you told me you do Scottish accents. Give us a burl.
All right. So one of my favorite parts about doing a Scottish accent is that I get to really try to interpret that brogue. It's really fun. We actually just went to Edinburgh just about 2 or so months ago, and we went there and to London, and that was our first time going out of the country, so that was really, really cool. But yeah, anyway, that's part of it.
God, I love it. And what other accents do you do while you're doing voiceover?
Goodness, I can do so many. Actually, just recently I did an Irish accent, and this was one that I did for a character in a sort of a like a, I don't even know how to explain it. It was sort of a minor related type of thing, but I love the Irish accent, I really do. And then also one of my favorites right now is the British accent, the British English, and there's so many different kinds. One of them is the kind that I'm doing right now, which is pretty in the middle, so to speak. There's SSB, which is kind of what I'm doing right now, Southern Standard British, and then there's RP, which is received pronunciation. They talk more like this, much more refined. And then of course the Cockney accent, mate. They're really choppy and they talk a lot like this, and it's quite funny, isn't it? And then of course not all of my accents are all British or European. I still do a little bit of a Southern, American accent myself. I really love doing it because I've been doing it ever since I was young. I had a few characters I really liked that they were doing as fun Southern accents, so I thought, hey, why not? So yeah, anyway, there's a bit of a
I absolutely love it. Have you had to do an Australian accent yet?
I actually have. I have done it a few times, but I always kind of veer away from doing accents in front of people if they speak, because I'm like, I don't want to offend, but yeah, I have
You
done it
want
a
to
few
offend me?
times.
Go for it. Go on, go for it.
All right, you got to give me something to say though.
Oh, I don't know. Well, you could say that Get Off the Bench is the most fantastic podcast and, has the most amazing guests. You could say something like that, like just off the cuff.
All right, mate. So Get Off the Bench is the most fun and amazing podcast you could ever think of in your life.
That's not bad. That's not bad. I noticed that Americans tend to put a little bit of British in with our Aussie accent, but
they do, and it's so funny because there are similarities, but it's like, how do you distinguish? And I always, one of the things I really loved, one of the tricks I learned actually about an Australian accent is is how there's in American, American English, we would say like rise up, like lights, like rise up lights. But that's like one of the tricks they say if you want to say razor blades, rise up lights. Rise up lights. And I was like, whoa, that actually fits. Like
That's
razor
actually
blades,
good.
but in another. Yeah. Rise up lights.
That's actually good. I need you to say g'day, mate.
G'day, mate.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I hear a lot of Americans say good day, mate, and I'm like, no, we don't say good day, mate.
That's too British. I do put in a little bit, but that's because Australian accents are influenced by British accents, but they're not British.
No, definitely
No,
not.
they're not.
I just love it. I love so many people try to get the Australian accent right, but they can't do it. But I don't even think we've got an accent. I mean, this is the whole point. We don't have an accent,
That's a good point.
And you don't have an accent either. That's how we roll. So with your voiceovers and your acting, where do you do them? Like, what sort of roles are you playing with that stuff?
Well, I do, I mean, a lot of different stuff. For voiceovers, I've been really, really blessed to be able to do a lot of different really, really big things. I've done voiceovers for Taco Bell, Amazon, Plato's Closet, let's see what else. St. Jude's Children's Hospital, Marriott Hotel, Sky Zone, I think Old Navy, yeah, Old Navy, and just plenty of stuff really. And and for awesome voiceovers for video games, I did Live Adventure, which is a really cool video game, beautiful graphics, and then also Gourd, which is a game made by the same people who made The Witcher, the Witcher series. So that's really cool. But yes, I've done a lot of that. I love it. I also, let's see, what are some other highlights? Because I love talking about Beyond the Bookcase, which is a voiceover I am the main character for 2 seasons actually. And it's an audio drama basically, and it's it's available on all podcast places. You can check it out today. Just go and visit Beyond the Bookcase. It is so cool because it is basically, and I'm half Jewish, so this is one of the reasons why I really love it, because it is sort of having fairy tales and characters entering this land of fairy tales, but with a little bit of a Jewish twist. And so it talks about different like cultural things, and some of the holidays they celebrate, and different things, and Shabbat and all the different kinds of stuff. And they always have some little Hebrew words and things, and it's just really, really cool. And I highly recommend it. It is the one of the reasons why I love it so much. The wit it's like hilarious. They have such amazing witty humor. I just love it. But yeah, so there's that. For acting on the camera, which I don't think I prefer as much as behind a microphone, but I still do like acting. I still really like it. I've been in actually a lot of the stuff that my daddy produces, because he unashamed plug here, he is an awesome film director and producer. He has one movie he already produced, and one that he's in the working of right now, and then also awesome fun sitcom. Wow. So the movie is called The Box in the Basement. I'm the main character in that. And you got to check it out. It is on Amazon Prime, Tubi, IMDb TV. It's called The Box in the Basement. Super cool. Then the sitcom is this really, really, really awesome, fun, family-friendly sitcom that is he's the director, producer, and co-creator with Marquis Skinner, and I'm actually one of the characters as well. I'm a character called Janet who loves being on Disney. She's like me, but a little more annoying. So she's just like, "Hi, I'm Janet. I'm so excited to be here." All that stuff. Very obnoxious, but that's that. And then also what he's in the works of right now, whoever's watching or listening, if you know any people who are funders, we are looking for funding for this film. It is going to be amazing and very, very, very impacting. It's called Mia's Bridge, and it's bridging the gap. And it's a unifying, one of those tearjerker kind of
Yep.
movies, and it's unifying the gap between just communities, between law enforcement, and and there's so much right now, so much hate and division, and this is
Mhm.
one of those films that's trying to unify. And so yes, absolutely, any funders out there, check it out, reach out to us, feel free.
Wow.
But yeah,
Wow. Well, I hope you get that. Gee, I hope you do, because that is so needed. That stuff is so needed. Wow.
it is.
Good, you're inspirational. You've also I've just got this list of things written here, and I'm just chipping away at it. You're just unbelievable. You're a national award winner with the acclaimed National Federation of Press Women, and you're a multi-award winner with the Delaware Press Association. Like, where do I start? What do these awards mean to you? Like, what does it mean to you when you get an award?
It's pure honor and a pleasure, and I am always so humbled, and I think it's always amazing. I never take them for granted.
Yeah.
I try not to, I always appreciate it so much, and then with the one that you mentioned that was Achi, I forget, I think Youth on the Rise award. That was extremely cool because I actually got to give like a little speech there for the award as well, and that made it a really 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 fun one for me because I got to go up there, in a nice little dress and stuff, and I got to go up there and try to and use that as, instead of just like I'm gonna thank my dad, my mom, and everybody I know, and blah blah blah. Instead of that, I use that as an opportunity to kind of inspire everybody else, and little mini inspirational speech, because that's what I'm always trying to do, and so yeah, they definitely mean so much to me. That's not everything though, and
Yeah.
it's not, awards aren't what determines your self-worth.
Yeah.
It's all about what you do and the quality of how you do it.
Yeah. I 100% agree with that. Where can you see yourself in 10 years?
Oh boy. I
Ah!
have I mean, I just try to see where I see myself tomorrow, man. Um but I would say definitely I would have hoped to have published plenty more books. Hopefully the ones that I'm working on right now, I have kind of like two main works in progress that are more like, they're, I don't even know if I want to call them works in progress because they're more like series as well than just because the other three that I have are standalones. But I have a lot of ideas, and the two that I'm working on right now, one of them is a very Sherlock Holmes-esque Victorian mystery style. And so that's going to be featuring a very eccentric Scottish detective named Angus MacLeod, and I really think that this would be something that people will just, it's just, I don't know, that I can see something iconic about it. I can see a lot, so I hope that I get to live up to my own standards here. But there's that, and then also the other thing is kind of, it's a sci-fi intergalactic style thing. It's kind of like what you take if you combine Star Wars and Lord of the Rings, and you put them together and you get something. And so it's called The Chronicles of the Sorelli System. And one of the books that I'm working on right now is pretty fun. It's about a messenger who is kind of put out of work because of the new invention of telecommunication, and so now he's having to find work as a merchant of secrets, which is really really interesting. So yeah, that's I would have hoped that in 10 years I would have at least published a few of those books. Also would have hoped that I can get better at my better at other languages. I'm hoping to try to be fluent in Scottish Gaelic by next year because in November there is a really really cool event called a MOD, MOD, and it's sort of an event where people actually come very very close to where we live, and I'll do Scottish Gaelic and practice and stuff. And so I really want to be able to do that, and hopefully learn more languages. And I think the last thing I would say is being more roles, and and work on my Bowdon skills more. So for those of you who don't know what a Bowdon is, that is an Irish drum that I play, and it's sort of like kind of circle shape. You press it up and down on the side, and you use a tipper and you play it like this. And
Wow.
and I actually was able to play that at an Irish trad session a few weeks ago, and that was amazing. So that was really, really fun, and I want to definitely get better at that. So yeah.
Oh my God. What
Oh,
about it? What about a
one last
podcast?
thing.
Yeah, go. Yeah.
I was gonna say one last thing is that in 10 years especially, I would really like to have been to be able to if even if not professionally, just sing well. That I mean, it's not high up on my list. Like I don't plan on being a professional singer, but I really, really, really want to know how to sing well. I've been practicing for about a year or so now already, just practicing the songs that I love, singing Scottish Gaelic and plenty of other things. And I love to just try to get better. And I feel like I have gotten better incredibly. But I just want to continue to do that, especially so that way, if somebody asks me when I'm doing an acting role, they're like, "Hey, Ari, do you sing?" Right now, my answer is like, I want to say yes. And I feel like I can, but at the same time, I know there's more I can learn. So I want to be able to be at that point where I can be like, yes, I can. So that's probably one of the things.
I can see you playing a role in Oliver or something like that. with your Cockney accent. You know Oliver, don't you? You know that movie?
Oh yeah,
that theatre? Yeah, theatre play. Yeah, yeah. So
yeah.
what about a podcast
That's,
and a TV show? Like I'm just pushing the boundaries here. Yeah. Or
yeah,
podcast.
absolutely. Well,
Podcast is easy.
I actually, yeah, podcasts, it's funny, they seem easy. They're actually not. There's a lot of editing required behind the
I
scenes.
know.
I Yeah, and there are so many podcasters out there, especially young ones and ones I would recommend as well of people that I know. I definitely think that they're great. I don't really know how many people truly. I mean, I think a lot of people do listen to podcasts, but I didn't have a podcast or a TV show, but I did have for a long time a radio show. I was the
Wow.
host of a radio show,
Yeah.
and then after that kind of faded out, I actually transferred it onto Instagram Live. So every month I started doing an Instagram Live show, and it's kind of like a podcast in my opinion.
Yeah.
And you can go back and still watch some of those episodes, and it's super cool. So, in a way, yeah, I did do that. And it was so fun because actually what I was doing was I would bring on other young people who were doing fantastic things. And trust me, there are so many, just kind of like your book and the Young Changemakers book and stuff.
Yeah.
And I'd bring them on and let them talk about themselves and what they like to do and all of the great things they're doing, because I am an avid proponent of like, let's stop talking about me and let's talk about you. What are all the cool things that you're doing? And and knowing more about incredible youth. So yeah.
Well, I can see you having your own talk show, actually. I can see that. Yeah, maybe when you're 30, 40, went a bit down track, but, you're a mate. What?
Oh, speaking of stuff to do when I'm older, one of the things that I really, really, really do want to get into one of these days, depending on how things go, is actually having an editing business. And so I love editing. I love proofreading. Ever since I was a wee lass, I've always loved the proofreading things that they put in homeschool. They have those little in curriculum. Sometimes they would have those like proofreading exercises. That was like my favorite thing in all of the whole in the entire workbook. And so I've always loved editing. Grammar, English, spelling, and everything are just some things that are so dear to my heart. I absolutely love it. And you'll notice I'm always trying to be on my best when it comes to spelling and grammar when I'm texting and talking to you or anything like that, and talking to anybody, whether it is a professional or a teenager. I was just talking earlier today on set with other teenagers, and they're like, "You use punctuation?" And I was like, "Yeah, you don't." They were just so amazed and surprised that I actually talk to other people and other teenagers like I'm writing an essay, and I do, and that's how I do it. But anyway, I definitely want to get into editing one of these days as well.
Oh, I love that. I love punctuation, and not enough people do it. And it's like, oh my God, or do capitals, and like, where does this sentence end?
Yeah.
I actually can't figure out where one thing flows into the other.
Exactly.
I don't understand what you're writing. I don't even understand. Anyway, what is your secret sauce? Like, that special ingredient that keeps you positive, the thing that gets you up every day. Like, what is that? Because it's unusual. It is unusual.
Yeah. I think I would say to continue to live a life that, well, first to enjoy life. I know that it has its ups and downs, but it
Mm,
is really important to me. I see so many people, this is one of the things that is really, really, really close to my heart, that I see so many people that do not appreciate life. And it's totally understandable because a lot of times people have very, very hard lives, but a lot of teenagers, they don't have the same regard and understanding of the value of life.
mm,
There was a TEDx talk I saw a while back that was talking about how even the very odds of your being born is a rarity, is a chance that, it's a, how do you call it, it's a miracle already in
mm,
itself, that you were born. I mean,
yeah,
there are so many things that could have happened, even so far as the chromosomes and everything. There was something
yeah,
that couldn't have matched, and then you would never have been born,
yeah,
and it's there. And then it gets further and further into more and more dangerous and risky as they're growing older in the womb, and then, and then being born. And to be a
yeah,
healthy living soul, I mean, oh my goodness, like the
yeah, I
odds of that are
agree.
so few. And
Yeah,
so I think that life is just so important.
yeah,
And that's one of the things that I always just try to think about, no matter how hard it is, no matter how up and down it goes, is that life is important and that it's valuable. And that's one of the things I try to do. Another thing that keeps me up and gets me going is just being able to live a positive life that inspires other people.
yeah,
There's so much negativity these days, especially in teens. And so if I can live a positive and uplifting life, then hopefully it will inspire and motivate other people to do so as well. And it'll just kind of start a chain reaction. And I don't, it reminds me of that one story. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, where there's a boy who's throwing these starfish
starfish. Yeah,
into the,
yep,
yes, yep, he's on the beach and he's throwing the
yeah,
starfish, into
yeah,
the ocean. And there's an old man that comes up and he's like, why are you throwing these starfish into the ocean? You can't save all of them. There are like thousands of them stranded on the beach. And he's like, they'll die if they stay stranded on here. He's like, but there are so many. And he's like, well, and he tossed another starfish into the ocean. He's like, well, I just saved that one, and it's like,
yeah.
even if you can't change the world, you can change at least some souls, and that's enough already. So
Oh God, I love you. I love your philosophy. I love it. And when you talked about life's a miracle, I always talk about life being too short. You don't know what's around the corner, just live, live, live. But when you talked about that being a miracle, it fascinates me to no end how people are. So first of all, there's that one in millions chance that you're going to be the one that takes to the egg and actually starts to grow. But
yeah,
I always think, how can a person be born without a disability or without something not in the right place? Because every little cell in your fingernail goes to the right place. Every cell in your nose and your eyes and your ears and every little cell goes to the right place while you're growing. And I just think that it's fascinating, but it is a miracle. Like,
it is.
how does this even happen? How does our body know how to put all these things in the right place? And you're right, to be born and to be healthy and to be able to stand on your own 2 feet and just think and do stuff. That's a miracle. Don't waste it. Just don't waste it.
Exactly.
Oh, I
Exactly.
love it. I love your thinking. You're never too old, never too young. What advice are you going to give to somebody who wants to follow their dreams and they're saying that age is a barrier? What's your advice?
I would definitely say that, well, look at these people. There are so many people who did achieve things and who did, start early, and, myself included, but there are so many, people that just started early. They didn't let what other people said get to them. That's one of the things I talk about a lot in speeches, and especially when it comes to teenagers, is caring about what other people think. Walt Disney was told that he had no creative ideas in school. And, I forget, I think it might have been him or somebody else was told that they should be an elevator repair person instead. And, and instead of being an animator. And it just, it's like, seriously. And then, so many authors, I relate to this, but so many authors get rejection after rejection after rejection by publishing companies. And, J.K. Rowling, she got like 12 rejections.
Yeah,
I think C.S. Lewis with Chronicles of Narnia, he got tons more. And
yeah,
it's just that, I mean, it's insane how if they had listened to those people, they wouldn't be here now doing the things that we know about them and know that they do. They wouldn't be famous. They wouldn't, at all. And so I would say that if to those who think that age is a barrier, let me first tell you, it's not.
Yep.
You can start early just like I did. And and if you think that because other people have told you that it is, then don't listen to those other people, because it's not true. They're telling you that because that's either A, what they've been told, and that's what just they think and they want to pass on to you, or B, they're jealous of how you're so determined and they aren't, and so they're trying to stop you. And or C, there's some other probably crazy obscure reason why they're trying to tell you that you're too young, but you're not. And so don't listen to people, is definitely what I would say.
Absolutely. You're proof that you're never too young, and I'm proof you're never too old, because I didn't write my first book until I was 50. So, it's
I love that. Yes.
Yeah, and then I've just gone since, and it's just it's that unlocking, isn't it? It's that not listening to all the bullshit that goes on in the world. Arianna, I love you. I have absolutely loved this conversation. I just, you're just an amazing human being, and it's not just because you're a high achiever and you've done all this great stuff. It's your attitude as well. You're really the deep old soul that's sitting within you that really, really deeply cares, about other people and the whole planet, the whole of society, and the whole of humanity. And that's such a rich thing to bring to the world. And I just think I'm so blessed to know you. I just am so blessed to have this conversation with you. You're just amazing. Absolutely love what you're doing. So thank you for joining us. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Karen. That is so appreciated. And yes, absolutely. I totally know what you mean. And I actually love, I wanted to say this, I love what you're doing. And just like you said, you're proof that you're never too old to start. And that's something I'm equally passionate about, but I talk about less because I haven't gotten there yet. But I'm sure that's what I'll be talking about when I'm 50, is you're never too old to start, And I just love that, though. I love what you're saying. And, even I kept glancing to the left of you at your banner, Get Off the Bench, and I saw the little cute animated guy. It was just and I love that, because there are so many people who are on that bench right now who are they're just procrastinating. They're, for whatever reason, holding off on achieving their dreams. And I love that that's your whole thing, is get off the bench and get out of your comfort zone, and think outside the box. And I love that so much. So you keep doing what you're doing 100%. And I am so blessed to know you as well. So
I love the Mutual Admiration Society.
Yes.
I love it so much. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and I, I'm really looking forward to keeping in touch over the years and following, everything that you're doing, and just anyway, thank you so very much for joining us.
Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate it.
Okay. All right. Chat soon. See ya.